So my name is Jordan Rose. I'm the chef here at the River Valley Farmers Table. We're a restaurant owned and operated by the oldest mushroom farm in the Midwest, River Valley Ranch. It's located in Slades Corners, Wisconsin. So we specialize mostly in mushrooms. We grow 5 varieties of organic mushrooms year-round, and we also cultivate a lot of other produce in our chemical and pesticide-free garden that we use here in the restaurant to prepare a lot of the food that we sell. And this time of year during fall, there's one thing that I always think of, and that's sauerkraut. So we have a lot of really gorgeous cabbage coming out of the garden at the farm. So we're going to prepare a little natural fermented kraut here using that cabbage. So the first step is to select a nice head, and then we want to trim the stem off. And we're going to pull these outer leaves off, but we're going to hang on to these for later. We're going to use them at a later step in the process. So we just want to take the cabbage and cut it into quarters like this. And we've got this little piece of stem in the middle. We're going to remove that and set it aside. We don't need to hang on to that. So now we have these nice, clean-cut quarter heads of cabbage that we're going to slice with a knife. Thickness doesn't really matter here. If you want a softer sauerkraut, cut it a little thinner. If you like a nice, crunchy, heavier sauerkraut, then cut it a little thicker. So now that that's nice and chopped, we're going to take it and put it into a bowl. So you can use whichever color cabbage you like. We usually do a blend of red and green here, but you can add just about any vegetable to a kraut that you're making. We often do it with shredded carrots. We'll add rutabaga to it, radishes. And then as far as seasonings go, the one we're going to do here is really basic and really simple. We're only adding salt to the process. But you can add whatever aromatics and flavoring you want. We do caraway, juniper, coriander. Really, there's no limit to what you can put into this. It's just a matter of what you like and what your personal preference is. So now that we've shredded up our cabbage, we need to add some salt to it. So the easiest way to do this is just to add some salt and mix it, and then give it a taste. You want it to taste seasoned, like anything else that you're cooking. That's about the salt level you're looking for. You can get really hyper-specific and weigh the cabbage and weigh out the salt, but it's usually not necessary. This is a pretty forgiving process. So after we've mixed the salt in, we need to pound the kraut, which is always my favorite part of the process. Again, there's no wrong way to do this. A meat hammer works really well. You could do it with a rolling pin. I've used the bottom of a glass jar before. Here at the restaurant, we're doing this on a very large scale, so we use a surgically sterilized 2x4 that we beat the crap out of the cabbage with. So we're going to beat on that until it starts to leak moisture, and it's going to look kind of like this. And you'll know it's ready because when you give it a squeeze, a good, healthy amount of liquid is going to pour out of the cabbage. So we're going to give that a taste to make sure the seasoning level is where we want it to be. That's pretty good. So the next step in the process is we need to put it into a vessel. And there's a lot of opinions about the right and wrong vessels to do this in. Glass or ceramic or stone is ideal, but in my experience, doesn't matter. You can do whatever you want. In small batches, we like to use glass jars, something with a little bit of a mouth on it. And we do it here at the restaurant. We do it in 55-gallon drums or in 5-gallon buckets, and it works just as well. So we're going to take our cabbage and pack that into the jar, and then press it until the liquid starts to come out. And then we're going to take these leaves that we set aside earlier, and we're going to press those down on top of the cabbage until the liquid starts to come to the top and covers everything. So we want all of our vegetable matter submerged underneath the liquid that we created from pounding the kraut. So at this point, we need to make a weight to keep it submerged. Anything that comes above that water line is going to get kind of gross and moldy and unpleasant, and that's fine if it happens. Just discard it, take it, scrape it off the top, and throw it out. The easiest way to do that at home is to take a plastic lid. Yogurt containers work great for this, but any plastic flat lid will work. You can take a pair of scissors and cut the outside lip off. We want a nice flat disc to work with. And you don't have to be real exacting. It doesn't even have to be a perfect circle. And then we're going to make a single cut down the center. And the reason we're doing this is so we can pull it into a nice little cone, and that'll fit through the mouth of our jar. And then we let it expand. And then we're going to take something and set it on top of there. I like to use river stones just because they look really cool. So you can take this nice, pretty looking jar and have it sitting on the counter in your kitchen. And then it's really up to you when it's done. Minimum 3 days. It'll start to get kind of sour depending on who you ask and where you go. They have varying opinions about when sauerkraut is ready. I find a week to 2, depending on the ambient temperature in your house, is usually long enough. Some people like to let it go for 6 months till it's really soft and really stinky. But whenever you think it's ready, it's ready. And that's it. That's how you make kraut. So the process that's happening here that we're doing when we make sauerkraut is we're doing what's known as a wild fermentation. So the naturally occurring lactobacillus bacteria that are everywhere are living on the outside of the cabbage. By adding salt, we're basically selectively breeding them. We're creating an environment in which they do really well and other things like putrefaction bacteria don't really flourish. So they're now eating all of the food that's available to them in the cabbage and converting that into essentially alcohol and vinegar and lactic acid, which is what gives it that nice, sharp, tangy flavor. So any live culture pickle product is going to do that. We make a ton of them, and you can do this with essentially any vegetable. You need salt, you need water, and a vessel to put it in and some thyme. You can pickle anything that way. And the difference between this and the pickles you buy in the store, they're usually done what's called hot pickling. So they take hot vinegar, they pour it over the vegetables, and a lot of times they'll add something like alum aluminum oxide, which makes them crispy, but you really don't want to be eating that. We don't do that. Here it's just, salt and water. And what you end up with is not only a delicious, tangy snack, but it also has these living cultures inside that are now getting absorbed into your intestinal tract.